Hi, my name is Jesse Bartholomew. I work for Cyclops. I'm the category manager for trainers and PowerTap. I'm here to talk a little bit about the new stuff for the coming year. Starting out, we've got the brand new Jet Fluid Pro. This is the next generation fluid trainer. As you can see, the resistance unit is quite a bit different. We've got a shroud that takes the air generated by our flywheel straight over to the resistance unit. And we're focused on this because it helps maintain the overall temperature of the fluid inside this chamber. And that results in a very steady and stable power curve or resistance curve as you're riding intervals, beginning of the ride all the way to the end of the ride. The resistance is going to be stable and constant. We've added a little bit of weight to the flywheel as well. This will give a more road-like feel, a little bit more inertia. But one of the things that's unique about Cyclops trainers is we use a unique flywheel for every resistance unit. So you'll see in a second here as we go through the other trainers, a certain type of resistance unit, in this case a fluid, and a certain type of flywheel. That ensures the proper balance between resistance and inertia or momentum, which is what you feel out on the road, and that's what these trainers are trying to mimic ideally. So the Jet Fluid is really ideal for the typical cyclist, somebody relatively fit and relatively normal sized. If you're outside that range, we've got another trainer that would work better in that instance. Before we move on though, touch base a little bit on the frame itself. You can see it's quite a bit different aesthetically, a little more pleasing, but the real benefit here is that it folds very compactly. So you can see the resistance unit is already pushed in and it's able to fit inside the frame. That gives it a very compact position just by removing this lever or moving this lever. The legs themselves have buttons that you can press and lock everything in place. So when you do go to transport this, it's all locked in place. Nothing's going to flop around or bang you in the leg, etc. It also allows us to ship them fully assembled. So when you pull it out of the box, you just unfold those legs, pull the resistance unit back, and you're ready to ride. No assembly required. So like I said, the Jet Fluid, ideal for the typical cyclist. There's only one power curve though. So to address that, we've introduced a new trainer based on our Magneto technology. This is called the Super Magneto because it expands on that technology, which is basically a series of magnets on springs inside the flywheel. And that means that the faster the flywheel rotates, the magnets are able to actually expand a little bit and get closer to the flywheel, generating more resistance. And as you decrease in speed, the magnets come closer together away from the flywheel, generating less resistance. And that's what happens out on the road. You pedal harder out on the road, it feels harder, obviously. You pedal a little softer out on the road, and it feels easier. That's what this trainer is built to duplicate. Because we've got some adjustment here, we can use a little bit heavier flywheel. This is actually the adjustment handle here, and you can see we've got 4 resistance settings: easy, flat road, interval, and mountain. And these aren't necessarily meant to be changed during the ride. They're more aimed at being changed for the rider. So we use this trainer extensively exclusively with our sponsored teams like Team Garmin, where you've got riders like Trent Lowe, who's a pure climber, all the way up to guys like Magnus Backstedt, who's just a horse. And they both need to warm up for a time trial, and we wanted to provide them one trainer to do that. So this is the one that they use. They can adjust it based on the rider and get the power and resistance curves that they need to properly warm up for a time trial. Same Pro Series frame and a lifetime warranty on this trainer as well as the Jet Fluid. So there's 4 settings here. If you wanted to go up and have basically infinite power curves or infinite resistance, we've got a trainer called the Power Beam that we'll show you next. The Power Beam is like most electronic trainers in that it provides resistance that's controlled electronically, in our case wirelessly in fact. But it's different in that it incorporates our PowerTap technology. We've actually built a strain gauge into the resistance unit, and what happens is a beam moves closer to the flywheel that has magnets on it, and you're controlling that via the computer here, or the beam moves further away depending on if you want less resistance. And as you move it closer to the flywheel for more resistance, the beam actually bends because there's more magnetic force being generated. We put a strain gauge right on that beam to measure exactly how much bending force is being contributed to that part. And obviously the more bending, the more power output, the less bending, the less power output. So we're also measuring speed inside the resistance unit with an optical sensor, sending all of that information wirelessly up to the computer to display it in a fashion similar to the power tap. So you get power output, speed. It comes with a wireless cadence sensor, distance, and you can also do workouts. So it comes with software that will allow you to create a workout segment by segment, or minute by minute, or mile by mile, based on power output. So you can target an exact 200 watts, for example, and the trainer will help you maintain that power output. Or a training zone, so your threshold training zone, or your VO2 max training zone, whatever your zones are in the software, you can use to control your workout. So those are all transferable, and this unit's also downloadable. So after the ride, after the workout, download it to Power Agent software, just like a power tap, where you can analyze and store all of your data. So that's the Power Beam Pro.